Hello, my little ER doctors. Welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, my name's Megan, and this is my messy life. Today's video, we do not have a lot of time. We have 30 minutes to get in a lot of information because boy, oh boy, has it been a wild, wild week or so. We're going to do my weekly reset cleanup that we have been doing for the last few weeks. But today there is drama, there's mental breakdown, there's health issues, there's Archie wondering why I'm shoving a camera in his face, dog hair tumbleweeds. There's so much to cover. And also how I almost was able to sue Walmart, but came up short. So let's get into all this. That is my harvest. I've got some beets and some little carrots that didn't make it very far. But yeah, so I'm going to show you my house as per usual. There's a mess that I left when I cut carrots, or cut, no, those are not carrots, those are strawberries, Megan. I'm going to show you all this. We're going to clean up. Hello, Amelia. And then we're going to talk about my redemption arc and how I am using the mental health toolkit that I have as a counselor to get it back together, right? Get back on track, because we need to stop wallowing in the chaos, right? We need to, at some point, pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and figure it out, right? So let's get into it. Let's start, where do we even begin? As you know, if you've been playing along for a while, I have been having a heck of a time with my mental health and my physical health. It all started when I got the bright idea to try medication for my ADHD, which I was very excited about because my brain is an absolute chaotic swamp right now. It is a challenge to stay focused. It's a challenge to stay motivated. It's a challenge to complete any task, big or small, without a lot of interruptions and distractions. So I thought starting medication would be a great idea, which I still think it's a great idea. It's just, I also have high blood pressure. And so I think I was aware that it could be a problem, but I didn't fully take into account my history of severe health anxiety, because I've been doing fairly well with anxiety stuff lately. Well, I had been up until the last month or so. And so I didn't really think about that. I just sort of, I was like, okay, well, we'll just monitor the blood pressure. Well, it turns out what I was not conscious of over the last month is that my severe health anxiety is triggered and perpetuated by constantly checking my vitals. Okay. So as I kept checking my vitals, I kept checking my heart rate, checking my blood pressure, I was getting more and more worked up. And it was almost like the opposite of what biofeedback is supposed to do. If you're familiar, I think, with biofeedback therapy, where you're like getting the feedback of your heart rate and then you try to calm yourself down. I was getting the feedback and it would just explode everything, right? Like it would make it worse. And so I was ramping myself up every single day, multiple times a day, trying to get a grip on the blood pressure, wanting to take the ADHD medication because it was helping my brain, but the anxiety was getting worse. And so much worse, in fact, that my blood pressure was really, really spiking. And I ended up giving myself like full body inflammation. I thought I had hives, but spoiler alert, I eventually went to the urgent care after an ER visit. And it was not hives. It was some sort of massive rash on my body that they don't know what it is. They don't know what caused it. They don't know exactly what type of rash it was. They just said, oof, that is really confusing and bizarre, but here is some prednisone, so good luck. So anyway, I really, 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 really spiraled. Really spiraled. And last Thursday, I ended up going to the emergency room because my blood pressure kept spiking and I was having all this inflammation and I was, my hands were itching and I was picking at my skin on my hands. And I was just like, there's got to be some kind of an infection going on. There has to be something that is causing all of this chaos in my body. And the ER was completely unhelpful. They just, whenever you have like anxiety listed as one of your past diagnoses in your chart, immediately you become dismissed, right? Like they don't treat you very seriously, right? So when I got to the ER, my blood pressure was like 170 over 90 something. And they thought, oh, that's adorable. Like we'll come back and give you an x-ray and check your heart and lungs and we'll give you some fluids. But like they didn't give me any medication. They didn't, they just did blood work and some tests basically. And they said, you know, your white blood cell count is a little elevated, but you're probably just anxious and dehydrated because it's been hot. And if you know me, I drink more water every day than almost anyone else on the planet. Like I drink sparkly water all day long. I drink from my regular, water bottle that I carry around that my husband makes fun of me for. Yep, those are the carrots that came out of my garden. So I didn't think I was dehydrated. But anyway, they gave me a saline drip and sent me on my merry way. They said, go talk to your regular doctor. We're not going to mess with your meds. And they also didn't address my itching, right? So then that's how I ended up at the urgent care the next day because I was like, there is something wrong with me. Like there is something going on, which I did feel very well cared for at the urgent care place or immediate care, whatever the hell they call it. And they did give me medication. They gave me advice. They gave me a cream. The nurse practitioner even brought the doctor in to double check because they'd never seen a rash so unique. I would show you maybe I'll show you, I don't know. I'm not going to show you a picture because that's weird. And it's like all across my torso. So that's a little intimate. But anyway, Beth from Feral Chadwife can vouch that I showed her the rash and it was quite intense. So anyway, so that's the spiral, right? That's all of the mental spiraling, physical spiraling, stress spiraling, right? Now here you're watching me try to pull myself back together. Oh, I was looking something up. I need to make an appointment for Archie to get his rabies vaccination. And I was trying to call from the computer and it wouldn't let me because my phone was filming this. So anyway, so this is me. You are seeing me here presently trying to pull it back together. So what have I done? What have I done to pull it back together? Well, I started taking the medication from the urgent care doctor. So I am now almost a week out, feeling much better with the itching and the rash. I have completely stopped taking my blood pressure readings. I have not checked my blood pressure in, I don't know, probably 5 days because I just, like, I'm not, here's the thing that I tell my clients, right, about anxiety. It's like the best thing to do to quench or quell your anxiety is to take some sort of action, right? And if it's a situation where you can't take an action, then it's better to just not think about it because there's nothing you can do. So with my blood pressure, I realized I wasn't doing anything different as a result of knowing my blood pressure. Like I wasn't increasing my beta blocker. I wasn't going to go back to the doctor. It always was coming back down, right, to a normal number. And so me knowing that it was spiking and then I think causing it to spike more when I would see that it was spiking, it wasn't doing me any good. So I decided, I'm like, okay, executive decision. I'm going to stop. I have to stop. I have to stop taking my blood pressure 5 times a day and just let it ride, right? If it's going to spike, it's going to spike. If it's going to be normal, it's going to be normal. But the fact that I wasn't really adjusting my meds or doing anything differently when I would see the numbers, except for freak out, led me to realize that I needed to just stop. I needed to just stop. So if the ER wasn't concerned, if my blood work wasn't concerning, if my doctor wasn't concerned, then I need to just stop. So I stopped. What else have I done? I also, as you saw earlier, I sat down and I just wrote a list. I wrote a list of all of the things that are rumbling around in my head, all of the things that are on my to-do list, like making a vet appointment for Archie, figuring out, basketball camp for Amari, figuring out daycare for Amelia, like just checking in with them again. I need to make dentist appointments. Like there's just a lot of appointments and tasks that I need to take care of. And then also there was just a lack of, I just wasn't grounded, right? I wasn't grounded in any sort of direction or goal. And when I was in therapy, when I was in my group therapy that I went to once a week for years and years, I had a weekly anchor, right? I had this weekly check-in where I knew that I had to talk about my goals. I had to orient myself back to sort of what my values were, how my behavior was, how my relationships were, how my thinking process was. And I would get feedback from other people, and they would tell me if I was way off base or if I needed to course correct or whatever. And I also had all these phone calls every week where I would talk about, how I was thinking, what I was doing, and people would challenge me and I would get to course correct. And since I have stopped that back in March, and now we're in July, since I've stopped that, I've noticed that it has been really easy for me to sort of just be floating free in the world, right? Not having a vision, not having my purpose, not having a goal that I'm really working towards. And so when you saw me sitting down, I was just writing that out. Like, okay, I'm feeling anxious about this upcoming new job that I'm likely going to start soon because I'm feeling like it's out of alignment with what my big goals are. My big goal is that I want my business to succeed, right? I want to be flexible. I want to have freedom with my schedule. I don't really want to work for another company right now. But financially, that is something that I need to do in the moment. So it was really helpful for me to just sit down, write out my financial goals, write out my lifestyle goals, write out my family goals, and to see like, okay, I have these long-term visions of having freedom financially, having freedom within my schedule, having freedom with my kids to be able to do what we want, right? But in the meantime, I need to really buckle down, and we might have, the next 6 months to a year, maybe 2 years max, where I got to grind it out a little bit with this other job and just do my best, make the money I need to make, have Amelia in daycare, and just do what we got to do to get back on track financially. And then once I have some savings, once I've paid off my credit card debt, then we can get back to the lifestyle freedoms that I enjoy, right? And I've been sort of like fraudulently enjoying all of the freedom that I've had lately, right? Like only working 2 days a week, getting to hang out with Amelia all the time, getting to have all this freedom. That has come at the cost of a lot of financial anxiety. And so at some point, we have to make choices, right? We got to make choices. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at, just to be totally transparent with you. I think I had worked myself up into this whole tizzy because I knew that I wasn't living in alignment with what I wanted. But I was just kind of like free falling, right? I was just sort of randomly floating around, just living day to day. You know, if I felt like it, I'd use my credit card. If I didn't feel like it, I wouldn't. You know, if I wanted to impulse buy things for Amelia, I would. If I wanted to impulse buy things for myself, I would, you know, and it's just like, okay, I have to have goals. I have to have goals. I have to have standards. I have to have principles that I'm living by. Um, because when I'm not focused, then I feel out of control and I have this anxiety because I know that I'm doing things that are not helping me towards my bigger goals, right? So that's that. Now, the other part that's making me anxious right now is this sort of pull between, do I put 100% of my focus into my counseling business with my business partners and just dive head first and really ramp it up with the marketing and the networking and all of that and try to make up the financial difference that way? Or, because that is the ultimate goal, right? Or do I take this other job right now and fill my bank account that way? um, and then, you know, my business is kind of just status quo, right? It's not growing. Um, because my time is going to be more limited, right? I can't expand that part of my practice if I'm focusing on the other job, right? So I am a little torn in that way. Like my stomach is still a little bit in knots because it's like I have this big goal that I want to grow the business. And I know that if you want to grow the business, you have to focus on the business, right? If you split your attention, and I hate to bring up a biblical concept because whatever, but it actually, I mean, it's wise, right? Like you can't, it says, the Bible says you can't serve two masters, right? And a more contemporary version of that would be Alex Hormozy, who's like a big business entrepreneur guy. And Alex Hormozy also says, like, you cannot win if your attention is spread in multiple directions, right? Basically, same concept. If your attention is divided, your success is going to be diminished. So I do believe that. I think that does make a lot of sense. I think it is true. But I feel like at the moment I'm kind of stuck. So if any of you have had success as entrepreneurs, um, please let me know like what you would do. You know, because I'm really not, here's my problem. I'm really not like a marketing person. I'm really not, I've discussed this before. I have a hard time with that. And so it feels much easier to me to just work for somebody else who's doing the marketing and I just do the counseling and the billing, right? Or I just do the counseling and I write my notes and then somebody else does the billing. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know why being a counselor, if you want to be in private practice, like they don't teach you all those other skills in school. Like they don't teach, there's not like an elective business class that you can take. It's just like they teach you all these counseling theories and then they send you out into the world. And you're supposed to just figure it out, I guess. So I'm really lucky. I'm really, really lucky. My business partner is very motivated. She's doing a ton of networking for her side of the business, where she does like comic book support groups. She does not for people who are traumatized by comic books, but like she uses comic books, like the stories of the superheroes, to help talk about different concepts like grief or anger or, you know, whatever, justice, right? She uses the comic books as like a way to engage the people who are needing support for other things. Oh, guys, you're going to see me sew. This was like a fun side quest. Sorry. Speaking of like comic books and stuff, but that's kind of a side quest topic here. But me sewing this pillow was a side quest. As I was sewing, I was kind of like, should I even be doing this, or should I just throw this stupid pillow away? Like, it's so ruined. But I was like, you know what? Here's part of the other part of my healing journey for this past week. I decided to slow down. I decided to slow down and just stop and do the side quests, right? Like, consciously allow myself the space without guilt to do the side quests. And so this was actually very relaxing to do some sewing in the middle of all this. And Amelia, I didn't give her a needle, but I gave her some thread to play with, and she was pretty happy. But yeah, this whole cleaning video actually, instead of taking me like 1.5 days like it normally does, I took, I think, 3 whole days to clean everything in the house. Because I was like, you know what? I'm tired of rushing. I'm tired of constantly pushing Amelia to the side, not physically, but like emotionally telling her to, she has to wait, or, let me finish this first, then I'll play with you. I decided that that weekend that you're seeing, that I would just focus on being with her, focus on taking breaks when I needed, focus on resting when I needed, focus on like just letting my nervous system have a little break. And it was great. It worked out really well. So I'm happy about that. Yeah. And look at the room, looks so nice. I was so happy. I took a bunch of stuff out of it actually and put it back in the basement. I think but here's the living room. Here's all these books and toys. But it's okay. Hello, Willow. Oh, stretchy stretch. Yeah. So anyway, but we'll keep cleaning. Now let's get back. My business partner, she's really great at marketing and reaching out, and like, she has no shame. She will talk to anybody. She's great. So she's been doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and her husband was laid off from his job, I don't know, maybe 1.5 years ago. And so he has been doing all of our billing for us. So I honestly could not be the wonky wheel of cleaning. But so I really have been in a very fortunate position with starting this counseling business. Like, the amount of actual work that I have to do is very minimal, and I'm so grateful for it. And I would love to just be doing this. But I don't know what's stopping me, right, from being more aggressive with marketing myself. I think I'm honestly, if I get down to it, there's this, I think I've talked about it in a video a long time ago, but there's this concept called the funnel of truth, where it's like the first layer of truth that you say is true, right? But there's always something deeper. Like, it gets narrower and deeper if you're willing to dig. And I think my first layer of truth, my surface level, is like, I don't want to do the work, right? Like, I don't want to do it because it's hard, right? And it's scary to put yourself out there. But I think even deeper underneath is that if I get, like, as I get new clients, as we get new inquiries to the business, because we do get a lot of referrals and inquiries, more so lately. And I don't always want all of the clients, right? Like, meeting new people is so freaky. I don't know. Like, it's like dating almost, right? It's like, you're not going to like everybody that you meet. And so I want to be really picky about my clients, like who I take on. And so I think that's part of it too, right? Like, I don't want to spend an hour every week with someone that I can't stand. You know what I mean? So I think that also is secretly part of it. Like, I want to stay in control. And I feel like if we open up the floodgates and we're really successful with connecting with certain referral sources that my business partner wants to connect with, I'm like, ugh, I don't know if I really want to see that type of client all the time. So I'm being really picky. But on the other hand, it's like, it's good to specialize. Like right now, I specialize a lot with clients who've had strokes or who've had traumatic brain injuries. And I love that. I love that population. The other population I really love working with is people with like chronic illness or terminal illness, or disabilities, like physical disabilities. And I love that work as well. So if I can just get more of those clients, I'm super happy. But like we're trying to get in with the cancer center where at the hospital where my colleagues work. I have two business partners, so where they work, we're trying to really ramp up our connection with the cancer center. And I would love to work with more people who are dealing with that. So those are my passions. But then when we start talking about like, oh, let's go, let's do more couples work, or let's do family, or let's work with, moms who are struggling with the stress of motherhood. I'm like, ugh, like that's my life every day. I don't know that I want to do that. I don't know that I want to put myself in that position, right? Like, I don't know how much wisdom I have for other mothers at this moment. Oh, here's me listening to Taylor Swift and trying to hydrate. I don't listen to music a lot. I mostly listen to like podcasts or true crime YouTube stuff, which, oh, by the way, my gosh, I think I'm putting my true crime channel back on the back burner again because I don't have the time to keep up with it. But holy crap, there were two massive cases that just ended this week, Brian Koberger and Stefan Stearns. And man, the family impact statements from both of those were wild. Um, and I'm a little disappointed that there were no trials for both of those cases because I was looking forward to it for my own entertainment. But honestly, for the family members and society, like it's probably best that those trials did not come to light in public. But yeah. Anyway, sorry, I don't listen to a lot of music anymore, but this day I thought, as I'm the problem, it's me. That's, yep. Uh, I thought it would be a good idea to listen to music as part of my self care and feeling better. That's what this whole past week has really been about. Like, how do I recalibrate? Oh, yeah, you can see my pack of prednisone pills right there. It's not birth control. It is a steroid. Yeah. So anyway, that's what's going on. I'm contemplating all these business and financial decisions and schedule decisions. Oh yeah, Amelia saw that I was a princess and she's like, "Hey, my crown." So I gave it back to her. And yeah, I'm contemplating all this stuff. I'm trying to recalibrate, trying to ground myself, trying to get out of that feeling of being stuck. And I think most importantly, change the narrative, change the way I'm talking to myself about my life. Because that is really powerful too, right? I know over the past few months, I've been really caught up in a lot of the political drama that's going on in the world. I've been really scared. I've been really just upset in general, just really just overwhelmed. And one of the biggest parts of that was social media. And so I have deleted Instagram. I mean, I still have an account, but I just took it off my phone. It kind of started as I needed to take it off my phone because I needed more storage space on my phone. But the longer that I left it off, I found that I felt less anxious. And I'm really happy with that. I've also been on Facebook a lot less, and I don't really even use TikTok, so that hasn't been a problem. But for me, the biggest one was Instagram. Like all of the anxiety was coming from Instagram because as soon as I would watch like one video about, children being ripped away from their parents or, whatever, Instagram was like, oh, you like seeing other people's deepest, darkest trauma? Here's more of that. And oh, you want to see somebody talk about, how everyone is going to lose all their rights and the country is going to hell in a handcart. Here's every video ever made on the topic. And I was just binging that. And it's like, you know what? Whatever's going to happen. Again, this is going back to the same thing as checking my blood pressure repeatedly, right? It's like checking Instagram repeatedly to see what's happening in the world was not helping me, because there's nothing, there's no action I can take after consuming that information, right? So then I just sit there with the anxiety. I sit there with the existential dread, with zero recourse, right? There's nothing I can do with that information that is going to help me feel more powerful, right? At least not in my current, stage of life, right? I have kids. It's not like I can go out and be this, political leader or put myself on the line and speak out and all this stuff, right? It's like there's nothing I can do, even if I have a strong belief. And if there is nothing I'm going to do, right? Even if there's something I could do and I'm not going to, then I need to stop consuming that information because it's going to happen either way and there's nothing I can do, or there's nothing I'm going to do in this moment. So I've stopped that. Oh my gosh. Look at that dog hair. That is disgusting. Bleh, gross. So yeah, so that's my deal. I've stopped with the Instagram. I stopped checking my blood pressure. And I've started to try and be more conscious and slow down. And I'm really doing a lot better. I feel more grounded. I feel like I have a new direction. And I'm just going to take it day by day. And this week, I'm really happy because my mom is in town. So it's kind of like a nice little reset. She's here visiting for the week, and we're going to drive down to Southern Illinois, which I don't know is a good maybe 4-hour drive, 3-hour drive. I don't know. But we're going to drive down state. We call it downstate here, I guess. And we're going to visit with a bunch of family. It's my uncle's, I was going to say my mom's brother, but he's my uncle. He's turning 80. So we're going to celebrate that. We're going to see a lot of family. We're going to chit chat. We're going to eat good food. Amelia's going to get to play in the pool at the hotel, and we're going to have a nice reset. So here's my outfit of the day. Thank you so much for watching. Please give me any and all advice about money and entrepreneurship and splitting your attention between two things, because I know that's really hard. And that's it. I love you. Thank you for listening and staying updated on my crazy life. All right. Love you. Goodbye. Mwah.